Yo guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the 23-24 Premier League predictor. In this video, I'll be predicting a table for the Premier League, relegation, top 4, title, etc, etc. I'll also be going through why I have made those predictions. Mainly, it'll be based on last season's results and my, general feelings towards next season. And, I've used tables like the XG, underlying stats to see how teams actually performed. So, for example, last season, you had Fulham, who performed close to relegation, but they actually finished 10th. And these sort of stats are important because they show you more than just how teams ended up on the table, but how they actually played and what they could have, where they could have ended up had it not gone, had not things like luck, certain circumstances in the game gone their way. And but this season, we'll start from the bottom, 20th. I'm going Sheffield United. A lot of stuff happening. They're losing their players. Probably the weaker team with Luton coming up from the Championship, and I think they will finish 19th-20th with Luton Town. Alright, not much to say here, really. I just think they'll both go down, and if they don't go down, they'll be close to relegation. But in them two will be down there. And in 18th, I'm going Wolves. I think Wolves will be terrible this season. They lost a lot of their players. Ruben Neves is gone, and I think they have a lot of missing players in there that they would need. Even last season they struggled until they got Lopetegui and they improved slightly. But no Traore. A lot of their players are just, I don't know, they don't scream Premier League anymore, and they have financial issues as well. So last season they actually performed second worst team in the league, and yeah, they struggled to score goals big time. They actually were expected to score 35 goals, so it's just not enough, and I think they'll be in relegation. I think they'll go down this season, and the team in 17th will be Bournemouth. I think they'll be in a relegation fight as well. They were the worst team in the league. Again, performance-wise last season, they improved towards the end with Gary O'Neill, who's actually at Wolves now, so it'll be interesting, that sort of dynamic and how it will turn out. But I think these two teams will be in and about relegation, and one of them will definitely go down. I'm going for Wolves, though. It'd be close. It'd be close. The team just above that is actually 16th, West Ham. I've seen people say West Ham will go down. I don't think they'll go down. They'll make signings. They lost Declan Rice. Apparently, they're going to lose Paqueta. That's pretty close. And they lost Kamaka as well. So, all their ballers are gone. And I think, last season, even though they actually performed better than they were, where they were in the league, they won the conference. They are in Europa right now. I think they will still have a really sort of not great season. And Moyes could lose his job. I put them in 16th. I don't think they'll get relegated. I don't think they'll be too deep in the relegation fight, but I think they will be in and about that sort of spot, 15th, 16th. That's what I'm going for. West Ham, and then 15th, I'm going Nottingham Forest. I'll tell you this, right? When I'm making this, I'm not sure where Forest will be. I'll be honest with you. Forest was just a strange team. They bought so many players last season. It took a while for them to kind of gel together. They are trying to stay in the league, and I think they can, and they might probably end up around this region. They might even end up close to relegation, but they're the sort of team that can surprise you. They might get a result out of nowhere, and they might just go on like a 3-game losing streak and end up near relegation. So I don't know about Forest, but I think they will stay up, and I guess we'll see. Another team that is in a bit of a tricky spot, similar to Forest, could end up in relegation fight. Last season, the relegation fight towards the end was very interesting. Teams up until like 13, like you had the relegation fight, a few weeks towards the end of the season, from 20th to like 12th, every team could get relegated, and I think it will be similar this season. Everton will be in a tough spot, but I think they will stay up because Dyche, that's the factor, man. Everton, their fans will probably try and keep them up. I think they always have that sort of extra thing, being Everton, a big club, that kind of carries, especially towards the end of the season, that other clubs like a Luton won't have. So they have that advantage of being just a historic club. That definitely plays into it. They've been flirting with relegation for 2 seasons in a row now, so it'll be tricky for them. But I think they will just about stay up. I should probably switch them with West Ham, to be honest, but I think I'm gonna stick with this. But 14th is an improvement, I believe. I think last season they finished 7th. Yeah, last season they just about stayed up. So, it's tricky with Everton, man. Calvert-Lewin constantly getting injured. I don't know. Their midfield is nice though, Onana and stuff. They got good midfielders, but I think they'll be fine. I'm not getting relegation for Everton. I've seen a lot of people say Everton relegation. I'm not doing that. Everton will stay up. Just above Everton will be Fulham. Another team that didn't perform well last season in terms of stats, underlying stats. They played well. They were actually comfortable mid-table, but underlying stats, the way they actually played on the pitch, weren't great. And Leno saved them a lot. And I think this season they'll be in and about mid-table. Might struggle even more. Some people say they might go and go down. Again, relegation fight will be interesting next season. A lot of teams will be close to it. But I think this is where Fulham will end up. And in 12th, I do have Crystal Palace. They lost Zaha. Potentially could lose Elise. That could change everything. If they lost Elise, that could change where Palace are. I think Palace will be fine though. I don't think they'll go down. Eze is an amazing player, and I think they'll be just fine. I don't think they will go down. I don't think they might start off pretty bad, and then they pick up when Elise comes back and stuff. So I think they'll be fine. That's all I can say for Palace at the moment. 11th, I'm going for Burnley. That's pretty high up for Burnley, I can't lie. For a team that just came up, but I think with everything I've heard and seen of Burnley, the way they play, company, I think they'll be very good in the league. I think they'll be fine. I think they'll have a good season. 11th is great for a team that just came up, so I think they'll have a great season. Burnley, they might have off periods. That's normal. Team adapts into the league and stuff, but I think they'll be just fine. I think they'll be a surprise to the league. I mean, to be fair, everyone was expecting Burnley to have a good season, but this is not really a shocker. I guess 11th is too high, but I think they'll be in and around this region, this mid-table sort of position. And at 10th, I'm going Brentford. Brentford are a very good team. They were close to Europe last season. They've been a very good team since they've come up. They play great football, and they are, I think, a team that will, keep that sort of mid-table place. Ivan Toney's going to be out for long, so that's going to hurt them. And even when he comes back in January, he'll probably not be at the same level straight away. So it'll probably take him some time. They just lost Raya to Arsenal as well, so I think they'll struggle at times, but again, I think they'll have some decent results as well, especially against the top 6. Their record against the top 6 was actually really good, and last season, there you go. Like they kind of, they were just behind, United and above Tottenham in terms of performance, like actual performance, and yeah, they were unlucky in some games, and I think they'll be in and around that mid-table. That's all for Brentford. 9th, I've got Villa. Listen, let me tell you something about Villa, right? I've seen people put Villa in like 5th, top 4, 6th, and it's driving me insane, man. People need to understand. Like I've lived through the Unai Emery era, and I'm telling you right now, what people don't realize with Emery is, one, he will be found out. Two, if he's in a European competition, which he is now, he'll prioritize that over the league. And three, Villa got very lucky in some games last season. So even though they bought good players, even though they have a good, successful manager in Unai Emery, they'll probably go far and win the conference. But they won't have a season that people will expect them to have in the league. They were overperforming their XG a lot last season, and eye test doesn't lie. They get attacked a lot, and I think they will finish 8th or 9th. I don't think they'll be higher than that. Honestly, I don't think they'll be higher than that. This is where they'll finish. I think they will. Honestly, they win the conference probably, but they finish around this region. That's Unai Emery. He'll be great in Europe and cup competitions. Can't see him being that great in the league. Even though they actually went on a great streak in the league, I just don't see it. I don't see it, man. An 8th, and this is see, this for me is a tough one, because I have a feeling one of the top 6 teams will not have a great season at all, and they'll struggle and might even drop to 8th. But I'm actually going to go Brighton, because they'll potentially lose Caicedo. They'll, it's getting close, that deal. They've already lost McAllister. They do replace these players like it's nothing every time, right? But I think them being in Europe, despite them having a world-class manager in De Zerbi, who I rate very highly, I don't think being in Europe plus having lost all these players, I don't think that will be easy, especially when other teams around them are also improving. So I think the fact that Kudo's deal is not yet confirmed, Caicedo could go, McAllister's already gone. It's tricky for them, man. It's tricky for them. So they could listen. For me, Brighton could go as high as probably a top 4 race. I could very well. They were in a top 4 race towards the end last season. I could see them in a top 4 race again. They play some of the best football in the league, just behind, in my opinion, just behind City, Arsenal, Liverpool. They are that good of a team. And the way they play, their manager is elite. And this does not lie. This is where they were last season, in the top 4 of expected points. They were that good. And they were robbed in certain games, if you guys remember the Tottenham game. So I think they will do just fine. They will be in a European spot race, I think. And 8 for me is just that, you know, it's like that sort of. I'm putting them there because I think other teams are also improving, but I wouldn't be surprised if Brighton finish higher than that. This is not like a, you know, I would actually put them 7th, but I've put Tottenham there. I've put Tottenham 7th. And the reason with that is I'm not sure how Tottenham are going to be playing this season. Haven't really invested a lot in the squad yet. They need to replace the defenders. Harry Kane wants to leave. We don't know if he's going to stay or not. Son has declined. Do you know what? I'm doing this. I'm actually replacing. Like, now that I'm actually thinking about it, I'm going Brighton 7th and Tottenham 8th. I think Tottenham will have an okay season, but I think it's not going to be. I don't know, man. They'll be okay. They'll both be in the race for a European spot. Brighton, Tottenham. I think Brighton will get. It just depends on the player. See, I'm doing this before I know like whether Caicedo's leaving, whether Kane is leaving. That changes a lot. Quality players leaving, so it's hard. Like, if I know Caicedo's staying, I'm putting Brighton higher. If I know Kane is staying, I'm probably putting Tottenham higher. So it just changes. It changes a lot. For now, I'm going with this. For now, I'm going with this. Tottenham, another 8th finish. And just above that, again, another team, just like Villa, is being massively overrated this season in Chelsea. People think Chelsea going to push for titles, for top 4. No. I don't see it. They have a lot of good players. A lot. They have too many players. They have bad players, they have good players. And Poch is probably going to try and stabilize the team. They'll still make signings probably. And Kunku's injured though for the start of the season. That's gonna, be a big loss to them based on how he was playing in preseason. And I think this is where Chelsea will end up finishing around 6th, which is, hey, listen, it's a massive improvement for them. They were 12 last season. This is a massive improvement for them. This is it's probably a successful season for them. They'll be back in Europa League. I don't think they'll be in the Champions League. They could be in a top 4 race, but I don't think they will be. Because the teams above them, I think, will be a lot better. And I will say that yeah, I'm sticking with this. I'm sticking with this. In at number 5. Now this is where the top 5 next season. I don't know how the Champions League is going to work, but apparently 5 spots will be enough for Champions League. I'm going with. See, I have a draft on the side of my predictions, and I've actually gone Newcastle, but I have this weird feeling that Man United will massively underperform this season. People expect them to start title challenge, and they should, because they finished 3rd last season. I've seen people put them 2nd. People aren't really putting United anywhere outside the top 3. I'm going United 5th. I'm putting United 5th. I'm changing it right now. I'm putting them 5th. I think Newcastle will finish higher. I'm putting Newcastle 4th. No. I'm putting Liverpool 4th. Listen, man. Top 4. It's going to be tricky. It's going to be tricky. Liverpool are yet to sign a DM. They will sign. They will have to sign a DM. They're linked with Lavia. They have to. It's tricky. I keep changing my mind on this one. Last season, and I always have to go back to last season because that's what we have. Man United did very well. When they lost bad, but they, generally speaking, they won a lot of games. If you see here, they won 23 games, and Newcastle actually won less games, but they lost less, of course. But I think just as I'm talking right now, I just see on the news, Sky Sports, Chelsea bid 47 million for Lavia. Do you see what I mean? Like, these signings will make a difference. Man United, for me, if they sign a midfielder and then like an Amrabat, or maybe like a some right wing depth, an actual striker depth, I think that will make a difference, and they will be in the top 4. Same with Liverpool. I think if Liverpool need to make signings. Liverpool need to get a Lavia. They have to. Otherwise, I'm not really sure. I'm not putting them in the top 3 because they struggled in the midfield a lot last season, and they need to sort that out. But I go with my gut and go Newcastle 4th, Liverpool 3rd. Liverpool have a Europa League, so they won't be as invested in that competition as they are in the league. They'll use that a lot for giving minutes, fitness, and I think that'll actually help them a lot in the league because they won't have to wait a week to play another game. They'll actually be more sharp, I feel. And Newcastle, on the other hand, they have the Champions League, which is more tough. They'll have to. Their squad is going to be more spread out and more thin, and they will struggle to. They struggle a bit more to keep up with that. So I'm sticking by this. I'm sticking by this. What you see on the screen right now, and in 2nd place, probably what you've been waiting for. I'm going Man City. Call me biased. Call me deluded. Whatever you want to say. But I think you just go on what's happened last season, right? Arsenal were leading the table for the majority of the season. Injuries happen. Arsenal drop off. City pick up towards the end, and they win. A City player in Ilkay Gundogan shines. Mahrez shines. help. The experience helps Man City over the line, right? And both of these players I just named are not there anymore. Automatically, they're a weaker squad, in my opinion, than they were last season. Now, you compare that with Arsenal, who've just signed Timber, Rice, Havertz. Arsenal are a stronger team with more experience because Arsenal have never been in a title race before last season. So everything was new, fresh. There were more nerves. This season, although pressure's on, I think with the added experience of last season, we'll see a similar sort of push and hunger to how it was last season when Arsenal, that same team, missed out on the Champions League spot to Tottenham. And I think you'll see that sort of hunger push Arsenal over the line, over Man City. Because I think Man City, no team has ever won 4 league titles in a row for a reason, because it takes a lot of keeping the players that have just won, keeping the hunger. I mean, ask yourself this, like Mahrez, for example, guy just won the treble and he's off to Saudi Arabia. Why? Because he feels like he's done it. He feels like he's completed it. He feels like he's completed football, and in the case of actually winning a treble, you know, winning a league title 3 times in a row, you know, being a big part of it. The motivation to continue playing at the highest level is not there for Mahrez. Okay, now think about all the other players. Of course, they will 100%. They're professional. They'll be hungry. They'll want to win again. But it won't be that sort of extra. If you haven't won something before, if you've never done something before, your hunger, you're like, you'll want that thing even more. And you with City, they've just done it, so there'll automatically be a dip. I mean, do you know what it is? You saw this same thing that I'm talking about last season. Pep was talking about it because they won the league, and he saw the way they were playing in the league. It dipped up until the point where they felt like they could actually win a treble. As soon as the treble became a thing in their heads, they picked up like crazy and they won it all. And you had Pep talking about how, you know, the players aren't showing that. He started, you know, he got rid of Cancelo. There was a lot of issues last season because they won it. They'd won the league the year before, so it felt, you saw a dip in that. Now imagine what happens now after winning it 3 times in a row plus a treble. It won't be the same. It will not be the same. They'll struggle, and I don't think they've made enough signings to strengthen and freshen up the squad yet. Guardiola was a great signing. They're linked to Paqueta, but they need to replace Mahrez. They have to. And I haven't seen them replace him yet. So for the time being, I'm going with this. And let me just go over. I didn't explain why I think Man United will finish 5th. I don't think that midfield, which they currently have, is good enough for a title race. I don't. Casemiro wasn't reliable, although he's improved them a lot, and I'll say that. The guy got suspended 3 times, I think it was, right? And he just, you know, he had, I think, was it 2 red cards and 5 yellows, got him 3 suspensions. Too many games he missed, and that hurt his team. He's in his 30s. With his experience, it's going to help anyway, but I think he doesn't have the depth behind him kind of help him out when they're playing in the Champions League, and then a few days later they have to go in the league to a tough away place, for example. So I think all these things. Højlund is 20 years old, and I don't think he's ready to carry a team like Man United to the title race yet. Especially, you know, he won't be fit for the first couple games. He didn't have a preseason, so I don't know. There's a lot of expectations on a squad that I don't think is ready to carry that, and I think they'll fall off in the season. I don't think people will. I don't think they'll achieve as high as people expect them to. Now I could be wrong. It could be my bias speaking. So who knows, man? Who knows? In my opinion, this is what the league table will end up looking like. I will revisit this at the end of the season next season. So, well, this season coming up. So we'll see how well we've done. But yeah, this is my top 4. This is the rest of the table. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you think you would change in this prediction. Remember, this is just a prediction. It could be anything. But hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll see you next time. Take care. Peace.